Where are you, Dillian? Where are you? Nowhere. We're hiding.
But listen, but kind of all this aside, it's good that finally Dillian's getting his shot at the world
Absolutely.
title.
It's a great fight. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully he turns up. Hopefully they both turn up. Because it's a really good fight.
If you was to rate the chances of the fight going ahead, both men entering the ring on whatever date, out of 100, what did you give it right now?
At the moment, with everything going on around the world, I mean, it's not just. I can't even tell you that I'm 100% that the fight tomorrow night will go ahead the way everything's going. So I don't know. Look, let's just get the contracts in, let them pay their deposit, and then every step is closer and closer. I don't want to start saying, oh, it's 50-50, it's 70-30, like whatever. But again, like you don't see sometimes the reality of the situations.
Ooh, what's good, family? Shout out to my doggy, Sean Sinfield, for sending in them coins and boosting up your man the YB's gyro. No doubt. So we just heard there from Team Dillian the Shillian Shite, giving us some more bad news regarding Fury versus Whyte. Now, Team Shillian Shite essentially say that they're not sure this fight will end up happening. Now, the kind of implications they make is as if, or they put it onto Tyson Fury's team. Oh, well, you know what Tyson Fury's record's like, and, but really, what's the evidence showing? Yeah? Over the last X amount of time that this fight's been going on, so for the last 6 weeks or so, or 8 weeks or so, what's the real data been showing in terms of if this fight doesn't happen, whose fault is it going to be? Well, like I've been saying over this period, follow the receipts, folks. Don't follow the woofs from Hearn. Yeah? The receipts have shown Tyson Fury really, for one of the first times in his career, has been hunting Dillian the Shillian Shite. Facts. Yeah? Many people like to talk about, oh, WBC have done Shillian wrong, only giving him 20%. Many of you man conveniently forget that it was Team Fury, before the official announcement, Team Fury were offering Shillian 25-30%. Oops. Who does that? I'll tell you who don't do it. A man who's scared of fighting someone, or a man who don't want to fight, doesn't offer you more than the market's going to, or more than the regulators are going to pay you. Not to mention, again, if Tyson Fury didn't want to make this fight, why didn't he go for the step aside and fight Usyk? Oops. More things that don't make sense. Yeah? And in fact, there was even a chance, don't forget, before this WBC thing was announced, for a period of time, the WBC had essentially said, for about 2 weeks, before they announced this fight, I think it was back in early January, for about a week or two, the WBC had said, we can't comment on Dillian Whyte, we can't comment on the mandatory until March. And at which point, the WBC said Tyson Fury is allowed to fight someone else in the meantime, because he wants to be active, and we've got to wait until March for this legal thing to tie itself up. Guess what? It was around that same time Team Fury were out here saying, please Shillian, come to the desk, come to the table, we don't want no one else, we want you badly. Yeah? Tyson Fury, he in love again. He got that puppy love for Dillian. He don't want no one else. Yeah? All he wants is Paris and Dillian. 100% on some polygamy thing. No doubt. That's what he said. He don't want no one else. Got his eyes on you, Dillian. Yeah? And I think that's why Dillian got so shook. Because for years, what can happen is sometimes people, for years people get used to certain roles. Dillian was the guy who was always chasing. And I think he found confidence in that. He was, Dillian was always chasing, but he'd always end up actually fighting a bum. Do you understand? So, in the social media world, his name was always attached to the big names. AJ, Fury, Deontay, but he never had to fight any of them. He'd always be fighting the knockoffs, the no good ones. The old ones. The no-name ones. Do you understand? That's what was happening for a long time. 2-2s. Dillian goes from the man chasing to all of a sudden one of the big names who just laid Deontay Wilder flat twice. All of a sudden that man wants you badly and he's got his eyes on you. Yeah? And all we know is, again, I've been, for a long time, I was blowing Dillian Whyte off essentially. Because I thought, people who know me know, I give everyone one chance. If someone says something, yeah, I believe them the first time 100%. Until they show me otherwise. So for years, Dillian Whyte was woofing, and for years, everything was always in his favour, i.e., it looked as if people were ducking him. Fact. Yeah, Dillian Whyte called out Fury for the WBC Diamond Belt, Fury went missing. There's a duck. See what I'm trying to say? So for years, it was in Dillian Whyte's favour, 2-2s. The last 2 months turn up, and all of a sudden, Team Fury had won. Winning purse bids, sending it. And that's another thing, another evidence. Yeah? Oh, Eddie Hearn, we're not sure the fight going to happen, but if it doesn't happen, it won't be us, it'll be Team Fury. Wait a minute. Team Fury, the ones who win the purse bid, and they don't want the fight. Oops. Don't tell me they won the purse bid. Don't tell me they won the purse bid only to try and flop somewhere down the line. Everywhere you look in this whole thing is Team Shite who are looking down bad. But like I was saying, going back to the whole narrative of the history. The history is, Dillian was the man known as the chaser. All of a sudden, the man, Tyson Fury, who's looking shit hot right now, both out the ring and inside the ring. Don't forget, AJ ain't beating no one. Yeah? Can't beat no one for love nor money. All Eddie Hearn can say is, but at least he fights the best. No, at least he loses to anyone. There's no telling if these people are the best, by the way. That whole narrative of AJ fights the best, and I have to admit, I've said it in the past, but really, no, AJ fights who's in front of him. There's no telling if they're the best, as we found out by Ruiz. Ruiz got exposed by Chris Arreola. Usyk got exposed by Chisora. Oops. All this hype around people, you man forget. AJ makes these guys look dangerous, but then another guy fights them, and they end up looking like bums. Yeah? Andy Ruiz was a bum until AJ fought him. And after AJ fought him, he was a bum again when he fought Chris Arreola. Same as Usyk. Usyk, when he fought Chisora, was a bum. It's a fact. He did not look any good. He goes in there with AJ, and all of a sudden, everyone talking about, wow, this is the best ever we've ever seen. Well, guess what? I'm going to tell you now, if Fury ever fights Usyk, all my coins are going on Fury. And I think you're going to find out that Usyk ends up looking like a bum again. That's what I think is going to happen. Yeah? And you, all of a sudden, you man who was sitting there talking about how great Usyk is, you're going to go missing. Yeah? And you'll start saying things like, well, you know, a good big man beats a good little man. No, you was gassing Usyk up, being the second coming of Christ. Yeah? So make sure you man keep the same energy, because Usyk ain't no good, in my opinion. He a bum, in my opinion. Yeah? That's the bottom line. And Chisora showed you how much of a bum Usyk is. Because Chisora himself is a bum. And he made... That was, the bottom line, that fight was a 50-50 fight. Yeah? But anyway, I've digressed. Back to this point. It's all relevant anyway, because Tyson Fury right now, he made a top heavyweight. He made him, trust me, Wilder got filled in. Yeah? Now, I'm not saying Dillian Whyte wouldn't have wanted to fight Wilder. Who wouldn't want to fight Wilder? He's no good. But no, what we do know is no one has ever made Deontay Wilder's booty pop like that. Yeah? There's a whole bunch of men who are lining up right now. You know what I'm saying? There's a whole bunch of men from a certain community who are ringing up Tyson Fury, asking him to make their booty pop like Wilder's did. You understand? Yeah? 100%. No doubt about that. I spoke to a few LGBTQ dons, and they told me, listen, we want Tyson Fury's private number bad, because we want our booties to pop like Wilder's was popping in that ring. 100%. Yeah, they want that same feeling, that popping feeling that Wilder had. Now you tell me, do you think Dillian wants that? And what gets me is the way you man gas Dillian like he's something real special. Like he didn't get his wig pushed back by old ass bum Vetkin. Old Vetkin. Alexander Old Vetkin. Yeah? Alexander, old Vetkin. And you want to gas him up? Come on now, people. Dillian Whyte go 50-50 with a random dude you never heard of. Rivas, 50-50. And the way you man talk about knockouts, oh, YB, he can knock Fury out. Whyte don't knock no one out. In fact, Whyte made a whole video crying. Who did he fight? He fought, what's the guy's name? He fought some big Swedish Don. Yeah? And Whyte couldn't do nothing with him. Couldn't hurt him at all. Oh, and Dillian Whyte ended up crying after the fight. Oh, he didn't come to fight, and just whining about how he couldn't get the KO. Yeah, Dillian Whyte is not a big puncher. He's just not. Yeah, he looks good versus complete bums and old people. That's what the facts say. And Tyson Fury never been KO'd. I'm not saying can Dillian Whyte put Fury down, probably, but who can't? The difference is, and no one laid him out flat. And I don't believe Dillian Whyte can. Because I believe if Dillian Whyte could knock Tyson Fury out cold, he would have knocked out Rivas cold. He would have knocked out AJ cold. He would have knocked out someone else cold. Oops. Yeah, he got Chisora, but Chisora was whooping his backside until the referee stepped in. Yeah, until Eddie Hearn sent the referee in to change the whole dynamic and put Chisora under pressure. Yeah, the referee ended up taking about 10 points off for BS in a big fight, big heavyweight dust-up, and the referee stepping in every 2 minutes, taking points off for nothing. That was Eddie Hearn, 100%. So, all this hype about Dillian, and guess what? The worst thing is for me, I would probably still be banging the drum for Dillian if the last 2 months hadn't played out how it has played out. Yeah? Because either way, Eddie Hearn can wheel himself out talking about, I'm not sure the fight is going to happen. It's going to be Team Fury, all he wants. But the reality is, the only person who don't want this fight, from the facts, is Dillian. The only one moaning, you don't hear Tyson Fury moaning about the split. Yeah? Tyson Fury could be saying, wait there a minute, I paid 20 million in my last fight. Dillian Whyte only got paid 300 grand. I want a 90-10 split. Oops. Yeah? You don't hear Tyson Fury moaning about the split, even though he could do. He could demand 99-2. Sorry, 98-1. Sorry, 98-2. Tyson Fury could be demanding 90-10. He ain't doing that. And in fact, we know Tyson Fury was happy to give 70-30 or 75-25 a month or two ago. He ain't bothered about the money to that extent. Now, I'm not saying, there's some of you goofy Dillian Whyte fans telling me, YB, Tyson Fury is scared. He should just give Dillian Whyte 60%. And that shows you how deluded or how low IQ some of you that shows you how much fangirls some of you cats are. Oh, YB, Tyson Fury is scared of Tyson Fury is scared of Dillian Whyte because why isn't he giving Dillian Whyte 60%? Dillian Whyte's waited so long. Dillian Whyte's so valuable. He's worth 70%. And the fact that Tyson Fury isn't agreeing to giving him 80%, that shows Tyson Fury's scared. Well, you man need to get Dillian Whyte's old dusty schlong out your mouths and out your backsides. That's what you need to do. About Dillian Whyte's worth 70%. Oh, Dillian Whyte is number one BLM and he need to get what's right for him. Well, I tell you what he need to do. He needs to get in there and make his own destiny. Yeah, about BLM. What's wrong with you mans? Oh, he been done so wrong and he's made millions of dollars fighting bums on Sky pay-per-view. There's nothing wrong about that. If anyone's been discriminated against, it's been the fans. Yeah? Dillian Whyte's done us all wrong. And even now, his actions continue to do the fans wrong. Even now, the fans get shortchanged. Because this alleged fight that Eddie Hearn ain't sure going to happen. Which tells you really the truth here, people. Never mind. I've just given you a whole bunch of real facts showing you where this is likely to lead. But in reality, yeah. Imagine that. Let me give you an example. When AJ and Fury were linked to fight last year, in the undisputed fight, yeah, I would show you videos of Team Fury, Frank Warren, and whoever else saying things like, oh, we're not sure the AJ fight can happen because of C19. And I'd use them videos to show, look, Tyson Fury don't want this fight. Yeah? Team members aren't negative about fights when they want them. team members are only negative when they know or when they've been told, yeah, we don't really want this fight. And that's the evidence I used last year, and all of you AJ fans and all of you Dillian Whyte fans loved it. You said, yeah, YB, Tyson Fury's scared, he don't want to fight. But now, today, we've got Team Dillian Whyte saying the same things. Oh, we don't think the fight going to happen. Oh, this, that, the other. And meanwhile, what's Team Fury saying? Team Fury, Frank Warren was out there today saying, listen, I really want to make a good fight with Dillian Whyte. Being really, you know what I'm saying? That's how people act when they want to fight. That's how people act when they know that fight going to happen. Yeah, me and Dillian aren't going to be best friends, but we'd like to do a good business transaction. We're paying Dillian record pay. That's what Team Fury is saying. You got Team Shilly and Shite with all their back actions, and now you got Eddie Hearn on top of that, cherry on top, saying, oh, the fight ain't going to happen. Why are you so negative, Eddie? Yeah, you had no conversations with Team Fury last year, but yet you was hopeful for the AJ and Fury undisputed fight. Oops, this shows you people the divergence in what's going on here. When Eddie Hearn wants a fight, when Eddie Hearn wants a fight, yeah, and he knows his team's on board, aka AJ versus Fury last year, he'll be hopeful, he'll have his fingers crossed, he'll be on, and he'll be the permanent optimist. When his team ain't on that, he just like Frank was last year. All negative Nelly. And what makes it worse for me is that, what do we know well? Frank Warren and Team Fury, they're the ones who paid record pay for this fight. You don't get no more optimistic than that. Team Shillian. Yeah? They're the ones put their money where their mouth is. We believe in you, Shillian. And that's what gets me really bitter, you know. You got all the Shillian fans telling me, YB, oh, Dillian don't need to promote this fight, and Dillian this, that, the other, and... Wait a minute. Your man's Eddie Hearn, and to be honest, people have all of a sudden started sucking off Sky now. Oh, well, YB, F Eddie Hearn, it's all about Ben Shalom. Well, guess what? Ben Shalom didn't turn up to the purse bid and back Shillian. Oops. The only person, yeah, who's actually said to Shillian, we believe in you to make a big fight, is Team Fury. Oops. Yeah, facts. They're the only ones who really believe in Shillian to be, or they really believe in Shillian's value. Eddie Hearn didn't come. Eddie Hearn could have brought his own big money pocket. He didn't do that because he knows Shillian ain't bringing the liquor value. As I told you before the purse bid happened, I told you Eddie Hearn ain't gonna do nothing because he ain't do nothing for Dillian the rest of the time, apart from giving bum fights on Sky pay-per-view. Yeah, so we know now. Team Dillian Whyte have been told, or Dillian Whyte, whoever it is, the bottom line narrative from Team Dillian Whyte is this fighting happening, and that comes from a place of they don't want the fight to happen. Bottom line, I'll be very shocked if this fight happens, if the only way I see this fight happening, yeah, is if in March a court rules in their favour. If a court rules at 20%, Dillian ain't gonna do nothing. He gonna throw his toys out the pram and he gonna go to BLM and he gonna fly Al Sharpton over. And they're going to do some marching in the streets. Oh man, you know, we down bad, and YB never sent me no shirts, and I need a YB down bad you know, 100%, that's what's going to be happening. And they're going to be marching. Yeah? Because Dillian, his whole career, he's been used to getting something for nothing. He's never really had to push through like that. He hasn't. His whole career has been on the plate. Yeah? Facts. AJ give him handout after handout. Every single time AJ would give him a handout, AJ would pop their cherry and Dillian would come for sloppy seconds. Facts. But then, and the worst thing is, even after AJ hand Dillian the sloppy seconds, he'd still end up going life and death. He'd still end up getting chinned by 40-year-old Alexander Vetkin. But anyway, this is bad. Bottom line, Team Dillian Whyte admit they don't want to fight. That's what this says, people. No, Dillian Whyte fans, you can sit there and say, no, it doesn't mean that. It's just Eddie Hearn being honest. Well, it's a shame Eddie Hearn wasn't honest for all the other fights he wanted to make that didn't happen. Because Eddie Hearn was the first one. When Team Fury were being negative about the undisputed fight last year, Eddie Hearn was the first one to say, why don't you want to make this fight happen? Why are you being negative Nellies? Now, though, the tables have turned, and you goofy you weird looking ass Matchroom fans don't see the hypocrisy. Me, I'm consistent. I ain't no fangirl. I don't fangirl for some next dudes. That's your man's business. I'm down the middle. I couldn't care less. I care ultimately what happens between the ropes. Yeah? And ultimately, I want people to get in the ropes ASAP. Bottom line, whatever gets people in the ropes ASAP does me well. And this all this woofing, all this court, all this moaning and whining doesn't get that fulfilled. I want people in the ropes ASAP, and I want people getting stuck in ASAP. And all this other stuff ain't getting us there.